distinguished colleague who hails from an area 45 miles to the south and west. So, Dr. Holdren, welcome. My question relates to, I had the privilege of visiting during the most recent spring recess the Dryden facility, now renamed, I think, Neil Armstrong facility at Edwards Air Force Base, and was able to take a look at the collaboration between NASA and I believe it was Boeing or one of the aerospace firms. A lot of talk about the involvement of government and private industry in manufacturing, but there was some research jointly being done on a new type of aircraft, and there's some promise of this aircraft being significantly more fuel efficient. I can't remember the name of the aircraft. The aircraft looks like somewhat like a triangle, like a flying wing. I forget the name of it. But can you just comment on how critical this sort of joint research with between industry and NASA has been to development of our aerospace industry in this country and keeping it ahead?
The short answer is that NASA's work in the aeronautics domain and its partnerships with the private sector have been extremely important. A striking thing that few people are aware of is that the fuel economy of jet airliners has improved by an enormous factor over the last 35 years. The fuel consumption per seat mile is now much less than half in modern aircraft of what it was 35 years ago, and that is the result in very substantial measure of NASA's aeronautics research and their partnerships with the private sector. We're seeing that moving forward in the kinds of projects that you visited at the Neil Armstrong facility. I said before that we need to be very careful when we think about NASA's budget and imagine that the only element of NASA's budget that matters is human space exploration or robotic probes or space telescopes. Those are all enormously important, and we support them, and we support them to the extent that our overall budget permits. But it would be a big mistake to allow NASA's programs in aeronautics to wither. It would be a big mistake to allow NASA's programs in Earth observation to wither.
Dr. Holdren, if I'm not mistaken, and this may be not either one of our areas, but it seems to me that the building of large commercial aircraft is an important part of America's balance of trade. It is a major export for us. And it seems to me that there's been an intricate interlocking between government and industry. And I see some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle often criticizing the government for being involved in picking winners and losers in the domain of, say, alternative energy. But this seems to be an example that that all Americans would agree has been very vital. I'm struck that the aeronautics budget is a very small part of the overall NASA budget. Is there any thought that the administration might want to increase this budget line?
Well, we're constantly looking at the balance, as I said in response to some other questions, and it's challenging because there's not enough money overall to do everything that we should be doing. I mean, I have said in other forums already this year, I think this President's budget for fiscal year 14 is a good budget for science and technology under the fiscal circumstances we face, but it's not the budget that I would want to have in better times. And in better times, there would be more money for human space exploration, there'd be more money for planetary science, and there'd be more money for aeronautics. I'm not going to second guess on the fly the current balance in NASA, which was carefully arrived at over the long sort of interactive process that I described, but as a general matter, I think society would benefit if we could invest more in this and many other domains.
Very quickly, because I know the distinguished chairman is interested in our competition and potential rivalry with the People's Republic of China. And they rapidly are trying to develop their own aviation and aeronautics industry. Do we know how much, by comparison, that they're investing in research in this area?
We do have some data on the pattern of Chinese research investments. I could get back to you on
Sure,
that. I don't
please.
have it on the top of my head, what they're investing in this area. It is clear that we are still well ahead. That's where I'd like to stay.
Thank